Something weird happened while at a hotel, and I've been trying to figure this out since over a year. I think I've finally come to the right community. Please help. So, in January 2024, I went to a hotel in Niagara Falls, Canadian side. I had my 10-year-old son with me. I had a room with a spectacular view of the falls. It was a hotel closest to the falls, and floor 12, in case that's useful information for some reason. The room had 2 beds. My son fell asleep on one, and me on the other. I don't recall what time we fell asleep, sometime after 9 p.m. I find myself suddenly waking up as I sensed that I was getting too much light coming in from the falls, hence why I mentioned the window view. I sleep in the dark. I look over to the other bed, but my son is not there. I assume he's in the bathroom, where I sense a very dim light filtering in from under the door that's now shut. Before I check the bathroom, I go up to the window and close off the curtains. As I'm walking to the window, I happen to pass by the entire other bed where my son was supposed to be. And from the light filtering in from the window, I can see that it's empty and the covers are crumpled. After I close the curtains, I go to my bathroom and I finally notice that the bathroom lights are off. The light filtering out is too white, whereas the bathroom lights were a yellow shade. I didn't think about this when I first looked over when I didn't see my son, plus it all happened so quickly. So, I push the bathroom door open and I don't see him. I notice the tub curtain is closed and I see a small rectangular light filtering in there, about the size of a cell phone. It was pulsating. I freak the fuck out and feel paralyzed. I call out for my son and he doesn't answer. I spend maybe 5 or 6 more seconds there, though it felt like much longer. In these mere seconds, I'm contemplating whether to rip away the curtain or not. The hotel curtains aren't exactly opaque, so all I saw was that pulsating light, but no outline or shadow of a body. A 10-year-old body, to be specific. Okay. In these few seconds, my mind races and reasons, okay, some homeless person got into the hotel room. That was a split-second thought, later counteracted by the fact that I didn't see any figure or shadow, but there was enough light for that due to the pulsating light in there. In other words, the tub was empty, and had there been a figure for real, I suspect I would have startled them enough to charge at me or make some noise or move, thereby giving away their existence. I rush back out before I could decide my next steps, and lo and behold, my son is on the bed where he's supposed to be. I also hear his tablet. He's watching a show. I ask him, "Where were you?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I press on more impatiently, "Where were you just now?" He responds with, "I've been here the whole time. I don't understand what you're asking." I look back at the bathroom. It appears dark to me. I feel so fucked up that I do nothing. I am frozen. So I tell my son, "Go to sleep," and I rush under the covers on my own bed, waiting anxiously to hear something or someone from the bathroom as I clutch my phone tightly. At some point, I fell asleep. I awaken the next morning and immediately rush to the bathroom to find evidence of an unwelcome entry from the alleged homeless person. Nothing there, of course. I am insanely flustered the whole time and all the way home. For 2 to 3 days after, I try to reason with myself about what could have happened. I even spoke to my doctor, who told me that it was probably from the extreme stress I'm under. I eventually asked my son if he was in the bathroom at the hotel that night. He looks at me weird and goes, "I wasn't. Why would I be in the bathtub? In the dark?" Well, needless to say, I felt so foolish afterwards, interrogating a 10-year-old boy with this absurdity. I considered contacting the hotel, but after this conversation with my son, I struggled to try and explain my thoughts. Here's the kicker. When I was booking the hotel, I accidentally booked it. There are two by this company there, and I accidentally booked the wrong location. Only when I put it into the GPS and passed by the location did I realize the mistake. Can anyone shed any light on this? I will try to shorten this, but right now I just wrote exactly as I thought it back. I can tell. Why, or even how, did you go back to sleep if you thought an unknown person was in your bathtub? Why didn't you immediately grab your son and run for your life down to the front desk? You mentioned life stressors. Alcohol or sleeping medicine wouldn't be out of the question. Is it possible at all that you were sleepwalking a little bit due to stressors, or alcohol, or medicine? This really makes me think about the concept of paranormal apathy, which is basically whenever something strange or paranormal, like this case, happens, people have the tendency to try and avoid the situation and ignore it, rolling over on the other side of the bed, going to sleep in this case. And it's something that seems to happen a lot, much to the chagrin of, everyone else hearing the story who is just wondering, why didn't you take more action? My first thought was that if they were able to fall asleep after that, thinking that there was a person in the hotel room, they might not have been fully awake to begin with. I remember waking up in a guest bedroom as a teenager and wondering how the hell I got out of my bunk bed in the middle of the night and gone downstairs while asleep. I looked all around the room before deciding to sit up and go back to my bed, where I promptly hit my head on the ceiling because I never left my bed. I was just still kind of dreaming, half asleep, even though I thought I was wide awake. The original poster mentions that they hadn't taken any alcohol, drugs, and that they don't have a history of sleepwalking as far as they or their family knows. I think this could be a case of sleepwalking. It's a state where you're not entirely asleep, so it may feel very real to you in the moment. When you rushed out of the bathroom, it probably gave you enough adrenaline to wake up and allow you to be able to question your son. And yeah, to play devil's advocate, that would make a lot of sense. I know that the poster said that they hadn't had a history of sleepwalking, but maybe just due to the amount of stress that they're under and being so tired, like half awake in that state, even if they weren't fully sleepwalking, they, got up, things just sort of got jumbled in their mind, and that would really line up with the sequence of events because, as they got to the bathroom and saw that weird floating light that gave them that adrenaline rush, all of a sudden they turned around, and that's when, their brains started waking up more. Everything fit back into place. Nothing was out of place anymore. So it's almost like that snapped them back into an awakened state. So, that definitely could be a possibility. This sounds like a phenomenon called hypnagogic hallucinations. I have them, diagnosed by multiple VA doctors. I also have severe PTSD from the military, for what it's worth. I mention that only because you state that you were under extreme stress at the time, which could also trigger it. They occur when you're in bed and you wake up to it. They usually involve another person. Yes, it seems extremely real. Like you, even years later, I remember even the tiniest details, just like I would if it were absolutely real, but it was just an extremely vivid hallucination. I know it's just a hallucination because one involved the mummified corpse of an ancient Native American woman being in my bed, which obviously never happened and didn't scare me, strangely enough. I was more curious than anything. All of the others could have happened, though, and most were very frightening. Before I was diagnosed, I was hanging religious medallions around my room because what was happening seemed that real, and most were that horrifying. I used to sleep in darkness, like you. Now I sleep with the closet light on at all times and the closet door cracked, so I'm never in total darkness, and that seems to have stopped them. An interesting perspective would be that of the son. What did he experience during all of this? Unfortunately, the original poster said that when he questioned his son about the experience, he basically said that he was so busy just watching whatever show he was watching on his tablet at the time that he didn't notice anything and just had that weird conversation with his dad before going back to sleep. And of course, we couldn't mention strange, unexplained phenomena without bringing up aliens. I know this is going to sound crazy, but my first thought was aliens. From what I've read about alleged encounters and abductions, people always experience some kind of strange phenomena. The pulsating light and missing child, followed by missing time. Not sure that exactly applies to you in this situation, and no memory of the actual abduction itself. If you were just witness to it, but your son was the target, maybe the aliens initially weren't worried about you being a witness since you were asleep. It would make sense as to why he suddenly reappeared and thought he was in bed the whole time while you clearly saw that he wasn't. Again, from the alleged accounts, they are known to erase memories of the actual event. You literally just reminded me of another important thing that happened at this hotel. When we arrived at the reception, we were informed that we were getting upgraded to one of their rooms with a spectacular view of the falls. I said something like, "Oh no, that's fine," but the staff insisted on how good it is. They didn't need to do much convincing, as I presumed that it's probably better for the staff to consolidate everyone on closer floors to make housekeeping easier. One thing I have noticed is that since this incident, my life has improved overall. Nothing too obvious I can put my finger on, but in general terms I fare better in big situations, whereas before molehills would turn into mountains. So I didn't expect that at all, because that kind of puts things in a different perspective, adds this whole other layer of strangeness to the entire event. It's already a weird thing that happened, but if they weren't even originally wanting to be in that room, and the staff so heavily pushed them towards booking that specific room, I don't know. I don't exactly know what to think about that. It just makes it seem like there's something else going on here. Here's what I think happened. Dad gets up to close the curtains. Son is on his tablet and puts it down when Dad gets up and squirrels under the blanket so as not to be told off for watching a movie when he should be sleeping. As Dad goes into the bathroom, Son resumes watching. The light from the tablet is reflected off the mirror in the bathroom into the adjacent shower curtain. Movie on the tablet playing, making the reflected light pulsate. And I think all those pieces really do fall into place quite nicely. The fact that the most supernatural event that happened was seeing that rectangular floating light, and the sun just happened to be using an object that creates a rectangular light. They just seem to coincide a little bit too well. So, there's multiple ways to look at this. I think if you were going to say it was some sort of optical illusion, that theory combined with the fact that maybe there was some drowsiness and stress going on, it could be nothing more than a trick of the light in the dark place. This was Dante Calvino. Let me know what you thought of the format for these stories, or if you have one of your own to tell. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more mystery every week.